weaknesses. And I think understanding what I'm good at and what I'm not good at, I need to get those types of people that will augment me or help me be better in those areas. So that's kind of how do I get my staff or my management team in place? Those are things I would look at, the qualities of dependability, reliability, hard work, passion, energy. Then also couple that with how do they complement my strengths and weaknesses? Because that I think is a real key. If you just want people that agree with you, you're going to have 10 bobbleheads or 2 bobbleheads or whatever. So you might as well not even have them, because they're going to tell you what you want to know. And you already know that. So why not have somebody that's going to have a different opinion? So that's the way I look at, and people make everything happen. People are going to make the plan. People are going to make they're going to raise the funds. People are going to work hard to get the company going where they're at. But you need the people to start with. That's why I always start with that.
So, coaching is a business, even if it's, without a paycheck. There's people, they have a passion for it. They want to keep it. But there is a sentiment, not among coaches, just about people in general, that people have to earn your trust, which is the opposite of what you said. And I'm with you that you put it out there and you find out who they earn it by having been given the trust. They don't have to, you really have to stick your chin out there and see what happens and see how those people respond. But you talk about finding people with those skills. Do you come across coaches who are fearful of hiring the best talent because it may surpass their own? And
no question.
Yeah.
You find that in business. You find in any walk of life. You may find that in any situation where you all of a sudden have to have people around the table telling you how good you are, or telling you that you never make mistakes, or hey, we don't want to tell the leader anything that they're going to fear to hear. So, see, I have a great statement that says this. It says, a boss has a title, a leader has the people. And that's what you want. You want people that know that within closed doors, they can tell you anything they want. That still doesn't mean that you're going to do what they say, but at least you've listened to what they're going to present to you. And then there has to be somebody where the buck stops there, and they're in the leadership, or they're the top manager or the CEO or boss or head coach or whatever. He or she may decide this is what we're doing after I get all my input. Well, that's a lot different. And I always tell assistant coaches, it's always easy to second guess the head coach. You know why? Because you're not the head coach. The buck doesn't stop with you. You could be friendly with the team. You could say, I would do it differently. But once you're the head coach, that's going to change, because the buck has to stop there. And I've been very fortunate, Dave, in my life that I've had great people that I've worked with, both in coaching environments and business, people that have really been great partners and really have made me better, because we've all been part of a successful group or team.
What do you have to say to help people that understand, yes, I've got to delegate. That's how I make use of all this talent I've brought in. And because the buck does stop you with the coach, you have things to worry about that others can't. So therefore, you've got to delegate some things. How do you help people to have that confidence to let go sometimes?
Well, part of it is it's your job to teach them and mentor them. Once you know that they have established a competence, or they've done exactly what you've taught them, you need to then get out of the way and let them go. I've seen too many people that micromanage every move of a person, and they think that those people are going to then be better by you being the micromanager. Hey, they're not going to do that. They've got to do, establishing a great culture means culture is what you do when no one's watching. And there's an old Dilbert cartoon that I always refer to. Dilbert is busy working, and his boss is standing right over him, and the boss is going to Dilbert saying, "It's good to see that you're working hard." And Dilbert goes, "That's because I saw you coming." So hey, it's what you do when no one's there, no one's watching. It's what are the norms and values that are done over and over again in a repeated fashion. So that takes you teaching your subordinates or people you're working with, hey, what do you want to have done? How do you do it? What's the accountability to getting it done? But then let them go do their thing. So I think that it's both teaching, mentoring. It's three things: teaching, mentoring, and then also just delegating and letting them go.
Yeah, and the way you just described working with them loosely so that they'll do the right things when you're not watching reminded me of last week's guest, Michael Peterson, who is a ethics expert in sports, but he talks about how damaging a zero tolerance culture is. In other words, if you pound your fist and saying, here's what I want you to do, I'm delegating this to you, but I'm going to be watching, because there is no forgiveness, that people will put up these false appearances and you really don't know what's getting done. Whereas if you can just walk the halls without saying a thing, and it's hard to do, you will actually see what's going on, and then you can insert yourself, out of the moment if you want to try and correct something. And that is where then, like you said, you are actually mentoring. There's a difference between instructing and managing someone versus the coaching and mentoring. And it's a rough line to get across to the good side, if you will, where the less you do, the better things tend to work out.
No, for sure. And understanding that all of us will have blips, along the way. We're going to fail. And to me, failure and success are not binary. It isn't a win or lose situation. It's a great quote I heard, and I use it now all the time, is failure is tuition for the future. And that's what you have to understand, that all of us have at one time or another done something wrong or did it poorly or failed. The question is not to repeat that again and learn from that and go on. And that's why I love hiring athletes, not for the sake that they're winning national championships or they're a champion, for the fact that they know how to pick themselves up. Every athlete has failed, and he or she know that the sun's going to come up tomorrow, and I got to work harder and practice the next day to get better for the next competition. Hey, I just struck out on my last time at bat. What am I going to do learning from that the next time I come up to face that pitcher, whether it's in the same game or in another game coming up? So that's a little bit of what you need to get across to your staff and to your players. Hey, failure is the opportunity to begin more intelligently. Failure is tuition for the future.
Yeah, and I think of my first sport was baseball, and it wasn't until years later that I realized, wow, I picked and loved a sport where 70% of the time I'm failing, standing up there by myself, and I'm okay with that. I mean, there's no way, right. You can't play that sport, at least not with a smile on your face, if you can't get used to it. And then I switched to basketball a bit more, and I realized, okay, so you're putting me on a line with a free throw, and the game may be on the line, and it's a gimme, sort of. So everyone's expecting, and you start thinking about it, and they even freeze you with the timeout, and it's not that easy. The people that make millions, they'll still miss 3 out of 10. But just that, again, another one of those scenarios that they put you there and say, yep, all you got to do is put the ball through the hoop. You've done it 1,000,000 times. And,
wow.
Yeah, it's not so simple. After a full game and the pressure and things like that. But that's where you learn to, when you made it, okay, that's how good I was today. When you miss it, okay, I'll work at being better tomorrow.
Right, and nothing's easy. And there's, anything in life when somebody says that's easy, that means they haven't done that. Whether it's coaching, parenting, running a business, being a successful leader, nothing is easy. And I heard a great comment by Mark Cuban when somebody asked him, could you give us everything you've distill in one sentence or a phrase, what you've learned in business and in life through the years. And he said, simple, there are no shortcuts. So that means you're going to have to take the good and the bad, and you're going to also, hey, nothing comes easy. So, you have to put in a lot of hard work for you to become good.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And I just like to make sure as best I can that people don't take that the wrong way when they say, so if you're not suffering, it must not be good. No, that's not what it means. That whole thing of if you're true to yourself, and this is, again, one of your points, is that hard work without the shortcuts isn't going to seem miserable. It's going to be hard. But if you're doing, avoiding the shortcuts because it's something that it is a true priority for you. It's not on somebody else's agenda. It's going to work well. And with that said, tell us a little, you mentioned some priorities about being true to yourself and fun and laughing. That's usually not, in the coach's preaching. I mean, sports are supposed to be fun, but you definitely have an emphasis on working hard but not taking yourself too seriously. How do you help people find that place?
Well, I think, the ability to laugh at yourself and to laugh at others is I think, important. And I also know that, hey, none of this is curing cancer or life and death. So you have to look at that a little bit of the same nature. We're in my mind, a lot of people will say it is like life and death if I didn't win the championship. And yeah, you got to be careful about that, because there's such fine lines between, winning and losing, that you just have to understand that it's the way you're going to proceed to play each individual rally or point in any sport, and then you move on. You can't, and yet you must enjoy it. You've got to enjoy that. Hey, this is, I'm competing. I'm not in, if you have a bad day, you need to just go to the cancer ward at a children's hospital. Then you'll have a better day. There's always people that are worse off than you are. Hey, we should enjoy what we're doing. We live life once, and we just need to make sure that you carry a good attitude about that. And you also know that there's no, there has to be, in my mind, I look at people the same way that I want people having a good attitude. If you have a bad attitude, I can't control anybody's attitude, whether it's a coworker, someone working with me, a player, a staff member. They've got to have a good attitude. So therefore, part of that is enjoying what they do. And no matter how hard it is, they need to get some type of enjoyment. It can't be that I'm doing this just to make money, or I'm doing this just to be successful and win a championship. Because once you win the championship, you're going to say, what's next? I got to win another championship, because it's a never-ending pursuit. So I think you have to have that. My mindset has always been, enjoy what you do. Hey, be kind to everybody around you, and in a team sport, rejoice in failures and successes together. That's why you're on a team. If not, you should play an individual sport, and that's a whole different matter, because the whole world is looking at you. When I'm a tennis player playing at Wimbledon, hey, it's all up to me. There's no coach there. I may look at my coaching box, but they can't even talk to me. So it's really a whole different set of pressures and priorities. So
with
that's critical.
Yeah, you mentioned about the individual sport, or the individual competitor sport, and people say, well, there are teams, that there's several of them, and yes, there's a social aspect, but it is very different. So, and I know that as my kids have played, they've swam, they've done gymnastics, they've done soccer, lacrosse, field hockey, basketball, and different parts of them come out, whether they're competing individually or as part of, again, a bigger system, other players. But where does your philosophy, or does it change? Again, your art of coaching, they're all on team sports. Do you have a different approach, or I guess advice for those that are the single, like golf, tennis, swimming, gymnastics? Do you have any other tweaks to how you